Broadcasting live from our satellite studio in Metro Washington, D.C., it's time for the special on-the-road edition of Learning Insights, featuring learning professionals who are improving performance and driving business results.
And we are back on the home stretch, Ryan, of our trip here to D.C. Stone Payton here, your host, with our producer, Ryan McPherson. Another exciting and informative edition of Learning Insights in store for you. This is going to be a fantastic segment. A little bit earlier today, we had a chance to visit with the president-elect of ATD, but now we're going to talk to the Grand Poobah himself. This gentleman is managing director for Avalon Foster Group, so he has a day job. But above and beyond that, don't know quite what got into him, but he also decided that, oh, by the way, I'll run this other organization as well. Please join me in welcoming to the broadcast President of ATD. We'll find out which one, Mr. John Fitzpatrick. How are you, man?
Doing great. Thanks for bringing me down here.
You got a lot on your plate, man. You're out there doing stuff for Avalon Foster. You're in here doing ATD. You got to get Adam Yasneski. You got to get him nurtured up so he can do the job. You don't have time to turn around.
Yeah, I'm also president of another board.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, Children's Advocacy Center, which is a great organization that helps children who have been abused. But so between the three of them, yeah, my days are full. Definitely.
So, Avalon Foster, just a little bit of background, a little bit of a primer. What are they out there doing for folks? What's their core business?
Avalon Foster, at its essence, is a learning and development management consulting firm.
Oh, okay. All right.
The sweet spot in our business is developing leadership development programs, coaching, those kinds of things. And then we also do instructional design and development for both classroom and online learning as well.
And you have to just about anymore be able to provide both of those services. If you only do classroom instruction or classroom instruction design, you're going to have a handful you better have some good clients because you're only going to have a handful, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No question about it. And what we're finding is when we go in to help people develop leadership development programs, a lot of the curriculum that we create for them as a part of the program is customized. After you do an organizational assessment for a company, you kind of figure out what competencies are necessary for their leadership to be successful, and we develop our programming around that. So the instructional design component comes in. So it's really tied together. Yeah.
So how does the sales and marketing thing work for a consulting firm like that? Is Avalon Foster kind of at the point where their phone rings and things get referred to? Or do you have to go out and shake the bushes a little bit and let people know what you guys do? Or
Yeah, it's interesting. This is the fourth company I've started.
You can't hold down a job, can you?
Two have failed. Two have been successful.
You started this company?
Yes,
okay.
Yeah. So two have failed, two have been successful. My first company that I started, PCIQ out in Pittsburgh, was primarily a technology training company, and that was very successful. And in the beginning, it was just pounding the phones. You know how that goes. You so many phone calls, so many appointments, so many proposals, and you wind up being successful eventually. Marketing is so nuanced today. It's so much different. So it's much more of a social engagement, and it's planting seeds and waiting for them to basically sprout. So it takes a little bit longer to get the plane off the runway. Nowadays, the marketing is more or less referral based. And then customers that you've started with signing on for new phases of different types of work that they want to do. But I think once the word gets out there that you do good work.
Yeah, doing good work is a great sales tool.
Yeah.
And bad work is equally bad.
Yeah. So. Once the word gets out there that you do good work, it kind of takes care of itself.
So practitioner at this point, are you out there actually practicing your craft, or have you kind of gotten the thing to the point where you're running more of an organization of people? Or
I do both. I kind of fly on both seats of the...
When do you sleep?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
So you still do both. You're out practicing your craft for the right types of clients, the right situations, but you've also got to continue to grow and nurture the balance of the organization, right?
Like I said, I don't do a lot of direct sales activity anymore. It's not quite as necessary as it was when I first started the business. But what I do is I definitely keep a oversight on the projects that I'm engaged in from either an engagement manager or a project manager perspective, because I want to ensure that that we're meeting the client's needs and that we're doing a good job.
So we suggested a little bit earlier in the conversation that if you only focused on instructor-led training or instructor-led design of training, you're probably going to have a very small client list, and they better be good. What are some other trends that you're seeing out there?
Well, it depends on the area of expertise that you look at, because when you think in terms of the ASTD competency model, there's 10 areas of expertise: coaching, learning technology, evaluation, performance improvement. So, and within each area of expertise, you have different innovations that are occurring in those areas. So, for example, if you take the learning technology side of the equation, you see more open communications between learning management systems through back office software like TinCan and OAuth and Open Exchange. So that is emerging, where an individual may be a user on one learning management system and a user on another learning management system, and those records and that data can be combined into a complete learning and development record for the individual. So I find that kind of exciting. Also, the use of badges, although it's still somewhat immature in its development, it is growing. It is becoming more popular, and I think that those types of that type of badge system is going to be useful for career development moving forward. Now, our focus at Avalon Foster Group is a lot on performance improvement, but we kind of hit it from the human development side. So we do things like leadership training, training on innovation techniques and things like that. And you'll see that innovation, leadership development and innovation is becoming, even though it's probably been the largest segment of training and development for some time, it's even growing bigger because of the way that our economy is shifting. There's a need for that. And you see more and more people addressing that. UMBC Training Centers out of Baltimore, great organization. They just started a Center for Leadership and Innovation, and enjoy working with them, and they do great work. And really that's in response to demand, what companies are asking for. Dan Pink, a few years ago, put out that book called A Whole New Mind, and he talked about, Asia, automation, and abundance, and how a lot of the white-collar jobs, similar like the blue-collar jobs went away when at the end of the industrial age, they went overseas to China. Well, now we're seeing a lot of the white-collar jobs going away overseas to Asia because we're more global and virtual. So, you're taking maybe a $80,000 a year employee and substituting it with a $20,000 a year employee with the same college degree and all of those things. So instead of us being kind of fed off of the information age, we're really kind of reaching the end of the information age and moving into what Dan Pink calls the conceptual age, where we want products that are creative, that are designed, that are they're meaningful and things like that. Well, in order for companies to be competitive, they have to have their employees kind of prepared to be creative. And that's not a skill that a lot of people, it's a skill that everyone starts out with when you're in kindergarten, but it's a skill that it usually gets sucked out of you somewhere in college or when you're getting your MBA. So, there needs to be more of that right brain type of competency and capability in organizations to continue to innovate and develop new products and keep our economy going.
So I've got a couple observations. I don't know that they genuinely qualify as trends. They just seem kind of cool to me, and I've seen them more than once. So, at least call it a pattern, right?
Okay,
but
sure.
I want to check in and get your take on this because not only are you a very seasoned practitioner. I've learned not to say old, or you're a very seasoned practitioner. You've been doing this, but you've got your.
I appreciate that.
You've got your feet in several arenas, right? So
sure.
I'd like to get your take on. One is I get the sense that as these competencies that as people specialize in these areas, that there's a tendency to dive deep in one's domain and be, like the best radio people you can be, or the best, training staffer people you can be, and then collaborate instead of trying to be everything to everybody. Now go get the best in class, whatever, partner up with them, and then go hand in hand to the client to serve them. I get the sense that's happening more than it used to. Is that?
Oh yeah.
Are you seeing that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean the whole. So we had when ASTD, American Society for Training and Development, kind of first evolved. It was more about instructor-led training, becoming a more skilled group of training professionals. And over time, and it's really been validated by the change in the organizational name to the Association for Talent Development. It's really become much broader than that. So to include performance improvement, talent development, coaching, all of those kind of things. So it's hard. You can know a little bit about a lot of things, or you can really know a lot about one specialty area. And you and I have probably experienced, as well as other people, the person who knows a lot about a little is generally paid the most. Yeah, because you want that expert in a particular area, and that's the guidance that I generally give new people who ask me about entering into the learning and development field, where they should get started. I usually direct them to go to the ASTD competency model and say, hey, look at the 10 areas of expertise. Try and figure out which one you think lines up with your core capabilities. Which one lines up, which one fits you the best, and start there. And then over time, you'll find that the lines get blurred. You'll get engaged in projects that, yes, they include training instruction, but they also include instructional design, and they include evaluation. So you start to get experience in the other areas of expertise, and that's how you grow yourself professionally.
So you agree, you're seeing this, you're seeing more of it, and you're an advocate. If you got one guy that specializes in this, one lady that specializes in this, don't try to reinvent the wheel, hook up together, you're both going to provide better. And so you're seeing more of it as well.
I am definitely seeing more of it, just because the areas of expertise within learning and development keep growing. You have to kind of narrow your view a little bit, otherwise your mind will explode.
So kind of related, I suppose, or at least it is in the way that the house of cards, I call my mind, is organized, is I see this tendency of, I don't really have the right word for it, but I think people understand what I'm asking. More and more businesses coming up that are like Uber. They're Uberized. In other words, they may not have like actual inventory and that type of thing, but maybe their business is like the two people I just described, the one who's really good at testing and measurement and evaluation and demonstrating ROI, and the other person is really good at design and delivery of a good blend of ILT and web learning, and they hook up together. But maybe there's this third company, they're the Uber that makes it real easy for those two to find each other and find a way to work together and share the money. Are you seeing more of these Uberized kind of companies?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or is that a stretch?
Yeah, I would say that might be a stretch. At least, but I'm only talking out of my own experience. What I do see is people that are in the profession, either as individuals or small organizations, partnering a lot. There are more and more channels to create those partnerships. Certainly things like LinkedIn and Guru.com and also agencies, like Training Pros, who supply qualified professionals into different projects and opportunities. So yeah, but I don't know that it's more than what I've seen before, other than... Well,
your crowd, and forgive me for saying that, maybe that's a very discriminatory way to say it, but I mean it with all the affection. Your crowd, your training development, y'all play nice together. You've been collaborative for years.
Yes.
More so than most industries, I think, right?
That's my experience anyway, sure.
So maybe it's not such a leap that, hey, we're partnering on this, or, hey, I really don't... that's not my thing, but you ought to talk to Joe, and boy, if y'all could hook up with Susie, y'all would be really great for X. I mean, that's your life. That's how you guys operate, isn't it?
Largely. So we try to do the most amount of work that we can do competently within our own staff and our own means. But there are times where, there's a competency that we don't have on our team that we need to complete the project, or you have changes in bandwidth. A lot of times you'll have tons of projects coming down the pipe, and you
right.
and you need to kind of get some outside help in order to gear up for those, and then there's other times where you can kind of rely on your core team. So, but yeah, certainly there are more avenues for identifying the individuals that you need to complete the team today with some of the kind of Uber or other types of technologies that help create those groups.
All right, so ATD, you guys get together on a regular rhythm, and that's probably not even fair, right? Because you have several subsets of teams that get together in different ways, or how does all that work?
Yeah, so our chapter's not as big as some. It's Maryland chapter, so we have the entire state. But obviously it's not as densely populated as, say, Washington, D.C. and that type of thing.
Right.
So we do have some special interest groups. We have a consultant special interest group. We have an e-learning special interest group. But our main chapter activity occurs on a monthly basis where we have different people come in to provide our chapter members information on we try to pick different areas from the ATD competency model. So our last meeting was more based around instructional design. This next meeting is more based around coaching, effective coaching. So we trying to hit different components. And that's one of the things I like about our relationship with ATD National. The chapters in National have a good relationship in that National kind of curates the information. They research it and they curate it, and they've put together this body of knowledge called the competency model. And at the chapter level, we get to discuss it as practitioners and talk about how to implement this in the real world. So not only do we develop great relationships, but we improve our own ability to help and grow other people by having that feet on the ground, face-to-face contact with each other. So.
And I'm under the impression there's really a place for people at several different levels. I mean, if someone's just kind of beginning to enter into the profession, there's a place for them at ATD, right? There's even like a development track of some kind?
Sure. So we have student memberships, and we do try to reach out to different universities. We go and speak at like Towson, UMBC, and other universities about the Association for Talent Development, and we offer them a special student rate to get them engaged, kind of grassroots kind of stuff. But it's also good for them to begin to understand what's really involved with doing the job rather than from just sitting in a classroom educational standpoint. And then they can grow to become a regular member after they kind of matriculate from school. So, and hopefully we can continue to gauge them in the program. And then we're always looking for people that want to be a part of our board leadership. It's a learning opportunity, not only in terms of learning Fred's rules, or Robert's rules, I mean, but Fred's rules. There you go. They're my rules, John's rules. No, Robert's rules, but it's also, what it means to be a service to an organization, the operations of an organization, because we have to, balance the balance sheet and produce financial statements and file tax returns and do a lot of types of operating things that they might not get exposed to if they just went to work somewhere. So. Well,
and you guys sound like you're a very nurturing, very organized bunch. Like if someone is serious about joining and really wants to get something out of it, wants to contribute to the profession, wants to provide for their own personal development, there's a way to do that, and you have some structure for that, it sounds like.
Yeah, most individuals that want to get involved with it will usually start either in just getting a degree in education or instructional design, and then kind of like grow it from there. But then we do have people that, like for example, Adam, who you just had an opportunity to speak with. He kind of started out in sales, and then he became a sales trainer for a very large organization, and so they kind of get into the field a little bit differently than one who might have started out that way.
So what are some tips on getting the most out of one's membership in any association? But for instance, like an ATD, I got to believe part of it has to be involved, show up, hang out, maybe join one of these boards when the timing is right.
Yeah, I would echo what you just said. My experience with any type of initiative is you get out of it what you put into it, right? So if you sign up and you can kind of put the fact that you're a member of the Association for Talent Development on your resume, it might look good there, but it's not feeding you with anything that's going to provide value moving forward. So it's really important to get out to the conferences, get out to the local chapter meetings, build your professional network through the organization, as well as continue to make new distinctions in terms of learning and development that you can bring to projects that you work on moving forward.
Sounds like marvelous counsel to me. Before we wrap, as we open the conversation, we sort of acknowledge you got a lot going on. And I suspect the only way you can do that, remain sane and look as well rested as you do, you must be really good at prioritizing. What are your priorities going into the balance of 2015?
Yeah, so my priorities have changed since I was younger. My priorities when I was younger was always to reap and harvest and try and grow myself financially as quickly and abundantly as I could. Now, at my age, I crossed over 50 not too long ago. It's more about giving back. So I do put a lot of energy into both CAC board of directors and the ATD board of directors that I'm involved with. And then even my staff, my team, and the clients that I work with, one of the reasons why I'm in this profession is because it's an opportunity for me to give back, to help them grow, and it feeds me. So when I think in terms of priorities, my priorities are: am I giving back, or am I distracted from that core goal? So.
Well, John, keep up the good work. Congratulations on bringing Adam into the fold. You guys are just doing some marvelous things. You're to be committed. I hope you'll come back. I think we have every intention of doing this kind of thing on a regular rhythm. Maybe we'll come out to one of your meetings sometime and do a broadcast out there. But I hope you'll come back and just kind of keep us up to speed with what you guys have got going.
Absolutely. This has been a real pleasure for me. Nice to meet the both of you, and look forward to coming back at some point in the future. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Before we do go, let's make sure our listeners know where they can get to information about ATD and or Avalon Foster. So some coordinates for both of those.
Yeah, so Avalon Foster Group, you can hit our website at Avalon Foster, AVALON Foster.com. Go out there and read all about us. And then the ATD Maryland chapter, our URL is changing, but you can still head us at the old URL.
Nicely done, sir. And we're going to do this again sometime. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you.
All right. We will be back in a few from Training Pros, D.C.
This has been a special Business Radio X production brought to you by Training Pros, your source for local learning and development experts. Learn more at training-pros.com.